I'm here. Welcome to another On the Couch Rewind. We continue our Marvel madness with the second season of Netflix's hit series Daredevil. And let me say, it's oh boy, not that it's bad. It's really not. It's probably about number 3 on in terms of best seasons in the Marvel Netflix series right now, but it's not the best. Third best, really. And we'll get along with the other ones. Anyway, Daredevil season 2 starts a few months after the events of season 1, of course. Wilson Fisk is in jail. Nelson Murdoch is doing pretty well as a minor firm. It's treated more as a charity firm than anything. Matt is enjoying himself being Daredevil. Foggy really doesn't approve, but he's had to accept that his best friend is a vigilante, while trying to hide it from Karen Page. Karen Page is secretary, but she's becoming much more useful this time around. Meanwhile, a new player has come to town and picking off mobster after mobster in the most brutal fashion possible. He has been dubbed the Punisher. And let's just say, when the Punisher was announced as being in season 2, I lost my shit. Like, I was excited. Because I was just thinking, like, okay, Netflix is gonna have to do a Punisher series, and how awesome would it be if he teamed up with Daredevil? Well, we got it, sort of. Doesn't really team up until later on, but we still get that team up, sort of. And boy, do I love the casting. Jon Bernthal is pitch perfect as the Punisher, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's start off with how the characters have improved. Matt really has improved as a character in a way by, of course, it's a trope that's going on now is in sequels is, who is the real hero? Or who's the real personality? Matt Murdock the attorney? Matt Murdock the vigilante? We don't know, and that's kind of what this is that his vigilante life is getting in the way of him actually pursuing justice within the confines of the legal system. And that's kind of what we've seen before. But it does make for good character moments between him and Karen, and to a lesser extent Foggy, but I'll get to that later, and to Elektra, who we'll talk about in a minute. Foggy is okay in this. He's fine. He's good in the beginning, but he does get a little grating towards the end. But that's really more the fault of the writer than the actor, because they're kind of retreading the same thing. Karen is still Karen, but she does become more or less a better, more useful person by trying to solve the murder of Frank Castle's family, and eventually becomes Ben Urich's replacement as a reporter after his death. And it's honestly a pretty good arc for her. I was actually more invested with her story and her interaction with Frank Castle than I was anything else in this series or in this season. And that brings me to Frank, played by Jon Bernthal. Like I said, he is perfect. He is absolutely 100% perfect in this role. He is pretty much the best thing of this season. Without him, this season probably would have fallen apart a lot harder than it did. And really but honestly, his story kind of ends after, or at least what I like to call the Punisher arc is over in 4 episodes. And then, like, and then you get another arc that then becomes the rest of the season, where Frank is on trial, but you feel like that's been put on the back burner in order to focus on pretty much the coming of the Hand that is just there to set up the Defenders series. And that's a big problem I have with this season, and is that it kind of suffers from what I like to call the Iron Man 2 effect, where it is where you gotta hit on your hand, but you're setting up a universe at the same time, so you decide to throw in as many world building references as possible in order for people to know, oh, okay, so that's what that is by the time Defenders shows up. And it doesn't really feel natural. Now, is it as bad as, say, or as poorly done as, say, like X-Men 3 or X-Men Origins Wolverine? Not really. I mean, same thing with Iron Man 2. Those references aren't nearly as bad as, say, what Tom Rothman demanded in those movies. But it is, you can kind of tell what they were doing there. And it just doesn't work. And so, but luckily you have the Punisher as a character in this season, that is the saving grace. Jon Bernthal is awesome in this. He is the most investing character in this season. Like, you really, it pretty much becomes the Punisher show with Daredevil. Like, every scene he's in is tear-jerking. When he's talking, in the 4th episode, when Daredevil rescues him from the Irish mob, they're just sitting there, and they're just tired, and Frank tells him about the last night with his family before they were murdered, and his regrets, and oh my god, I actually cried. I was crying just as much as Matt was. Just a single tear going down my eye, going down my cheek. Just, that's how that, and it's just so well acted. It was so well acted. And then you got another scene where he's talking to Karen Page about his wife, and how his wife would always hurt him, like, emotionally, rip his heart out, and he would rather have one more day dealing with that than not feeling anything at all. And let's also talk about the kills. The kills in this are fucking brutal. The kills are, holy shit. They are, there's something. Like, I mean, I don't think I could ever think of any sort of way to murder a motherfucker the way Frank Castle does. And it just works so well in this. You are kind of going, ooh, oh man, but I mean, honestly, I'll admit, like, if it wasn't for Jon Bernthal in this, I would give this a lower score. But I can't, because Jon Bernthal is so good in this. And what I love about it is they're actually sticking to his roots of being a Marine. Whereas, like, other portrayals always portray him as a cop or an FBI agent, Frank Castle in this is a Marine through and through. And I love how he does it. How he portrays as a Marine. He holds himself like a Marine. He'll walk like a Marine. He's very much a guy who's no longer a civilian, who can't really get out of being who can't really integrate back into being a civilian because of what he had to go through. Now, I mean, of course, he doesn't have PTSD, but he is a broken man, and you can tell. Elodie Young as Elektra is fine. She's perfectly fine. She's very Catwoman, honestly. Like, if I was casting Catwoman, I would probably pick her if I didn't already think of Ava Green as Catwoman. But Elodie Yung is very much Daredevil's. Is her Catwoman to Daredevil's Batman. She's playful, she makes quips, she's seductive, but at the same time she does do stupid shit, but you kind of realize, oh, she's doing this on purpose to kind of ruin Matt's life, but at the same time she's doing this because while a man's life is hanging in the balance here. Now granted, it's Frank's life, and yeah, he's fucking guilty, but you kind of do facepalm for a moment. Which now brings me to the biggest problem I have with this season is there's no clear villain. You feel like it feels like this season is chopped up in pieces. The first 4 episodes is Frank Cat is the Punisher, then you got Elektra, then you got the Hand, then you got this DA who wants to bury Frank because it turns out she was actually behind the whole thing, like not on purpose, but she was directly involved in, indirectly involved in the death of his family, and she's just trying to get rid of him because she doesn't want people to know. Then you got like the one who was directly involved, called the Blacksmith, who turns out to be Clancy Brown, who used to be his Frank's commanding officer, and that doesn't, and really that's the problem, is there's so many villains. Hell, Madame Gao makes an appearance in this season for one episode, for like one scene, and you're kind of going, okay, is she behind all this? No, she's not. She's just there, and it's not, and it doesn't really work. I mean, that's the problem, is pacing is not very good in this. I still was able to sit through it a lot easier than Jessica Jones because, I mean, people weren't being as nearly as idiotic as in Jessica Jones, but there are pacing issues with this season, and honestly, with the outside of season 1 of Daredevil, with the other Netflix series, it's just, there's a lot of things that could have been cut out, like, very much so. Fight scenes are fucking awesome. The fight scenes are amazing in this. Of course, they one-up the hallway scene in season 1 by giving us another one, but this time they're going in multiple directions, all in one shot, where where Daredevil, after getting away from Frank, after he had killed a guy who was a witness, a material witness, Matt's got a revolver duct taped to his hand, and he's got the Hell's Angels, or a biker gang that was involved in Frank's family's murder, and he's just going all out throughout this entire apartment complex, all in one shot, and honestly, it really does just one-up that hallway scene in the first season, and holy shit, it goes on for about 5 minutes, and it's worth every single minute. And yeah, there are other good scenes. There's a fight scene where Daredevil and Elektra team up, and they go up and they fight Yakuzas in like a very dark room, and again, that's even really good. The rooftop scene in the season finale is okay. It's meant to be this big fight where Elektra and Daredevil fight against the Hand, and then Punisher shows up to just shoot a few guys from far away with a sniper rifle. I'm like, come on, man! You see you know where it's going. That's another thing. The Hand is a big threat, and you can feel it, but they're not good. They're not that great of, I mean, it just feels too early to bring them in right now, especially when they become a bigger threat in like Iron Fist, sort of. And in my season 1 review, I remember talking about Peter Shinkoda's character Nobu and how I didn't feel like he all he was there was to be a badass. Here is kind of the same thing. He's just there to spout exposition, to be the threatening Japanese ninja guy, and that's really it. And it's not his fault. He does the best he can with what he's got. It's just not enough. I was expecting a little more with this character, and he just didn't have a lot really going for him, and I just found him a very boring character by this point. The DA, how no one realizes this person is corrupt is beyond me. Like, there is no way this person, I wouldn't say, like, she's not working for the mob or anything, but it's clear she has done some shady shit, and she doesn't care who gets hurt. So how this woman hasn't been disbarred is beyond me. At all. Ellison comes back, and I like his arc with Karen, where he's taken Ben Urich's place as mentor, but he's a little more safer because he feels that regret for the death of his best friend. Like, he feels responsible for that, and you kind of get why. And he became a much more likable character in this because of that. Kingpin comes back, and in a really good twist, and I'm not going to spoil it because it's honestly the best episode, but he comes back in a really good way, and you kind of think he's going to be the villain. And it sucks that he's not. He's only in it for like 3 episodes, but it actually sets up for what's eventually going to more likely be season 3. And yeah, but honestly, I don't know what else to talk about. Daredevil season 2 gets, and because it's the Punisher, an 8 out of 10. That's the score I'm giving this, because without the Punisher, I think I would have given it at least a 6. Because the pacing is not that great, and it really should have been better. Should have been tighter, just like season 1 was. They should have had a bigger focus. Honestly, I would have been fine with the season-long adversary being the Punisher and no one else. They could have saved Elektra for something else. Hell, they could have done a season 3 this year, but they didn't. So, whatever. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time when I review Luke Cage. But other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.